Hello, this is a bit different than my norm, speedrunning, so it is needless to say that I do not know everything, and this is merely my best attempt. Eeemeem is my attempt at a minimalist language, with the goal of the least amount of parts to it. Outside of that first goal, I want this language to be easily understood by its speakers with minimal sacrifice to the first goal, and when it is unable to be simplified, I want to make it easier to learn. And finally, it must be spoken. Eeemeem went through many stages to get where it is now, starting with a basic toki bonito with the inclusions of a singular tone for a third phoneme and relatively poorly defined grammar. The phonemes are and e, and the phonotactics can be boiled down to place any sound in any order at any length. The word order is defined using noun phrases and verb phrases, the order in which is shown on screen. Those null symbols denote that there is space between each of these things, unless specified elsewhere. Speaking of, you can create what are in effect portmanteau words to more concisely convey things. These are defined using the context markers at the start and end of defining a thing. Instead of what may be expected, that being binary, we are using unary. To write 0, simply write nothing. And to write numbers, you append the amount of e's you want there to be to convey your number. So, for 2, it would be e. For negatives, simply say me for not with a context marker at the beginning of a number. And for decimals, we use the fractional form of said decimal. In total, there are 9 words in eeemeem. And each one of these words rely on where they are placed to derive its meaning. More in the Google document. Of course, there are some structural issues even with this version of the language. Firstly, large numbers are incredibly hard to communicate, as there isn't any way to compress the amount of e's you place. Secondly, you may notice that there are multiple adjectives for each of the words. The problems that come from this is predictable. It would be hard, near impossible, to decipher what adjectives you truly mean. Of course, in context, this makes much more sense to the two speakers, but the problem doesn't erase due to that. And thirdly, some portmanteau words would be quite hard to discern without the previous sentence. This is because the phonology is small, and the words are very similar. So when combined, you have the thing where you have multiple possible interpretations. For example, the name of the language. It means 2 people speaking, but it could also mean you one person to say, or there is now to want. So, what are the positives of eeemeem? Unprecedented simplicity and ease to learn. I am confident in saying that there are very few languages, constructed or otherwise, that achieve the level of minimalism that eeemeem does. In terms of simplicity, there are of course more simple ones. Brainfuck comes to mind. As for spoken languages, I'm fairly certain that this is the most simple in terms of the minimal amount of components in it. There are languages like the 5-word language and Nipmuwage, which aren't really meant to be spoken and are written with numbers. However, they are simpler in terms of parts. One of my goals for this language is a fundamentally iterative one. If anybody watching this finds a means to make it more interpretable, with minimal components added, and components that are simply not needed, that I somehow missed, this would be an opportunity to work together for a truly minimal spoken language. I have formed a Discord for this exact purpose, link in the description. Have a good day.